Hi everyone.
Hi everybody.
Welcome to History Matters.
Yay.
Paige,
What?
I didn't think I'd ever see you here.
Oh, in jail? I thought you were telling me to be more serious. I was like, okay, I'll be serious. I'm always so happy.
We're prisoners together.
I never thought I would be in prison. And this is the closest I ever want to be in prison or jail.
Yeah, me too.
Or arrested or in the back of a police car. Okay, yeah. No, I don't ever want to visit this place. It's in history, sure. In person, no. All right.
Yeah, for today, in History Matters, we're going to discuss the 10 most famous prisons in the world.
In the whole world.
All over the world.
10 most famous.
So I'm sure some of you might know some of the prisons and maybe have visited some of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, number one,
I think I've visited.
I'm sure you know this one, is Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
That's number one. Let me put my glasses on before I read. So this one, the origin of, before I start about Alcatraz, I have to give you a little bit of history.
About prisons?
Well, let me read it.
Okay.
This is interesting. It says the origin of the black and white striped prison uniform goes back to the Auburn prison system that started in New York in the 1820s.
Oh.
The prisoners had to be silent and walk in locksteps. They also wore black and white stripes because the stripes symbolized the horizontal jail bars in comparison to the vertical bars in jail, so it gives them a sense that they can't get out.
Oh.
The uniforms.
I thought they just wanted them to look as least unattractive as possible. Because stripes look horrible.
You look like a zebra, huh?
I know.
Zebras are
just
beautiful.
not attractive.
So the uniforms also made prisoners so easy to be recognized on the street. The public could easily distinguish them from non-criminals, but the uniform has changed from stripes to jumpsuits or orange shirts since the 1970s.
Oh.
Yeah. So I heard that they're trying to bring back the stripes.
Oh, really?
Because right now they're using the color orange. They have the orange jumpsuits.
Orange is the new black.
Orange is the new black. So because of that series, they were actually saying that's why they want to come back to the stripes, because everybody uses the orange jumpsuit as, like a costume or whatever. They're walking around in it.
I have a fun fact on that.
They don't want to confuse, say if a convict escapes and they're wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
What?
They wouldn't, because you become so recognized with it being on television. A fun fact, a group of us, a couple years ago, we went as Halloween, a group of girls went in the orange outfit, and the next day someone wore it to their costume party at their work, their job. And my friend was filling up gas, jumped out of her car, was filling up gas as quickly as possible. And I guess at the exact same time was an undercover police officer filling up his gas.
Yeah.
And he did like a double take and was kind of looking at her. And she was like, why is he looking at me? And then, kid you not, the women's prison here in San Diego was like 2 miles down the road. And the undercover police officer came up to her and he was like, I almost tackled you down to the ground. Could you imagine? She was like, why? And he's like, I had to remember it's Halloween, the orange jumpsuit. And I was like, oh my God, you're so lucky.
So that is the reason why they want to go back to stripes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because who walks around with stripes? Not really.
Not like this. With a big
anybody
number on my
wants to.
chest? No.
Okay, so let's begin with number one, which is Alcatraz. When considering famous prisons, Alcatraz military prison is the one that springs most readily to mind.
Yes.
It's America's best-known federal prison and was its first maximum security prison. Famous inmates include Al Capone, which he is.
Oh, right here.
Right here.
Oh, yes.
It says Al Capone, Robert Bergman Stroud. The prison is situated on Alcatraz Island, a rocky island in San Francisco Bay, and considered impossible to escape from, although 36 men have tried throughout its history. It closed in 1963. The island and the former Supermax prison are now open for tourists.
Yes.
So people can go and tourist.
I've been there.
And tour the prison.
It's
Have you
premium.
been there?
Yes, I've been
Yeah.
there, and you walk around, and then at some point, I don't know if they still do it, but when I was on the tour, you could go in and they shut and lock the cell, and you sit in there like you were in your little
Yeah.
tour group for like a good 5-10 minutes, and I'm telling you, after 5 or 10 minutes, you're like, I want out, and like you start kind of like,
Yeah.
let me out. So not fun. But yes, this is Al Capone. He was famous Alcatraz prisoner. So were these three gentlemen,
Mhm.
and they made a movie on them. I
Yeah.
believe it was called Escape from Alcatraz.
That was a great movie.
So these three men, let's see, real quick. On June 12th in 1962, it was a routine early morning bed check. Turned out to be anything but. The three convicts were not in their cells. Their names are John Anglin, his brother Clarence, and Frank Morris. They had cleverly built dummy heads made of plaster, flesh tone paint, and real human hair that apparently fooled the night guards. The prisoners planned their big break for several months, setting up a secret workshop where they built the tools they needed to escape. On June 11th, in 1962, they put their plan into action. So it's been more than 50 years. The Anglin family has provided evidence that the men might have survived.
Ooh.
So there's nobody really knows if they've survived or not. A lot of people, as you said,
Mhm.
it says that so many people have attempted, but they're like, no one's ever survived. Well, this family is saying that the mother received Christmas cards signed with their names for 3 years following their prison break. And the family also released a photo of the brothers that might have been taken in the 1970s, which would have been 20 years
Can
after
you imagine that?
their escape. So maybe they escaped.
Maybe they do
We
have
don't
proof.
know.
And
We
this
don't know.
Al Capone, you know, he was a bootlegger back in,
Oh, yeah.
in the time in his era. It says in the Roaring '20s, Al Capone ruled an empire of crime in the Windy City: gambling, prostitution, bootlegging, bribery, narcotics, trafficking, or you name it.
He was doing it all.
And it seemed that the law enforcement couldn't touch him. But what did they get him on? Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
Pay your taxes.
So they got him on that.
Just say, you can do all that stuff, but you don't pay those taxes. Woo!
So Capone was convicted after trial, and on November 24th, he was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison.
Wow.
He was fined $50,000 and charged $7,692 for court costs, in addition to $215,000 plus interest due on back taxes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he got out, and then eventually he ended up getting sick, and he died at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So our second world famous prison is this one. It looks like this.
So that's
The number 2 is the Tower of London, England. Alcatraz only operated for 20 years, but one of the world's most visited prison was used much longer. The Tower of London, home of Britain's crown jewels, was once a notorious prison. Oh, this is like in the tower. Oh my gosh. Built in the 11th century, it was a prison up to the mid-20th century. This puts it among a handful of the world's oldest prisons. This building has seen many notorious inmates, yes, including Henry VI, Anne Boleyn, Rudolph Hess, and several Scottish kings. So those movies that you watch, you know, those like the room in the tower. That's it. This is where they went. Oh my God, the London Tower. Yes, yes, that's where Anne Boleyn she went.
Yeah.
Oh, poor her.
That was King Henry VIII's wife.
Well, it said here though, but Henry the Sixth was in the tower. Yes, King Henry VIII's wife, but Henry the Sixth, I guess, was in the tower too. Okay, wow. Lots of prison facts.
So I'm at number 3. And this one is Robben Island, South Africa. It says Robben Island in South Africa is known for one extremely famous prisoner, which is Nelson Mandela. Another island prison is 7 miles off Cape Town. Although a prison for centuries, from 1959, it was a maximum security facility for political prisoners. Over 3,000 of them were held between 1961 and 1991, including Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
The last prisoners left Robben Island in 1996, and in that year it became a museum and a national monument of South Africa. So there it is.
Let me see.
Oh wow, that's where he was.
So as it
Tell us
says,
a little bit about him.
says Nelson Mandela. He was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary and political leader who served as the first president of South Africa from 1994. In June 1964, he was convicted along with several other ANC leaders and sentenced to life in prison. He spent the first 18 of his 27 years in jail at the brutal Robben Island prison, this one. Confined to a small cell without a bed or plumbing, he was forced to do hard labor in a quarry. Oh, wow. That is Nelson Mandela.
And what prison are we at?
We're at number 4.
4.
This prison, it looks like this, is Chateau de France. Another famous island prison was home to fiction's best-known prisoners, the Count of Monte Cristo. Count of Monte Cristo, right?
Cristo.
Chateau de France is located off the coast of Marseille, and even if the Count of Monte Cristo was fictional, it did hold many real prisoners from the mid-1600s to the end of the 1800s. The Count of Monte Cristo was based on the island, and his success made Chateau de famous. It's just Chateau de.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. 2 adjacent cells are named after Edmond Dantes and Abby Farah, the main characters in the book. Dantes escaped from the island in the story, though nobody is to believe to have done this in reality. So that book is based on this prison. Mm-hmm. This actual prison exists, but it's a fictional story based on this book, or this prison for the book. Oh. Yeah, it's out there in the island, kind of like Alcatraz, like you gotta
get out of that.
swim to get off that one.
Trying to get out of that.
All of these seem to get, okay.
So this one is, oh my God, number 5, Devil's Island.
Oh.
Ooh.
It sounds so cool, but it's a prison.
They're all islands.
I know, it's not a good thing to be there.
It says another famous French prison is on Devil's Island. This was also immortalized by a book and a film. Though the story is true in this case, Devil's Island is in the Caribbean off the coast of French Guiana. It was open for 90 years from 1832, and around 80,000 prisoners spent time there. As with all island prisons, it was designed to be almost impossible to escape from. And the thick jungles and infested waters around it did make it so. Albert Dreyfus was imprisoned there, and the prison closed in 1952. Alfred Dreyfus.
This man was in prison.
Tell us a little bit about Alfred Dreyfus.
All right, let's see. Alfred Dreyfus was a French artillery officer of Jewish ancestry whose trial and conviction in 1894 on charges of treason became one of the most polarizing. He was a lieutenant colonel, and he was in the army, artillery, and he served from 1880 to 1918. So I guess he went there for treason. Apparently, treason. He ended up at that island.
Yep.
Oh, not good, Alfred.
We're at number...
Oh, we're at number, it's mine, 6.
Number 6.
This is this prison. And this is Elmina Castle in Ghana. The next, the next 2 prisons, so maybe you have the next one. The next 2 prisons are famous for the same terrible reason. Both once housed enslaved people en route to the New World. The first one is Elmina Castle in Ghana. On the Cape Coast, just west of Accra, it was a holding prison for enslaved people for 300 years, with as many as 200 people in a cell. At its peak, over 30,000 enslaved people passed through its door annually. Elmina Castle reached worldwide fame when President Obama visited in 2009. So that prison is in Ghana. Ooh, how many? It said up to 200 people in a cell.
Wow.
That would
Can
be
you imagine that?
No, I can't imagine any of this.
So we're at number 7, and this is Gorée Island in Senegal, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Another UNESCO World Heritage Site is Gorée Island in Senegal. This was also a holding prison for enslaved people. It was known as the House of Slaves until the French abolition of slavery in 1848. Many African Americans come here to find out more about their roots, and it has also been visited by Nelson Mandela, George Bush, and Bill Clinton. Gorée Island also has a school, a university, botanical gardens, and a museum of the history and culture of Senegal. And here's the prison.
Oh wow.
It's like another island. So all of these prisons, you can tour. They have tours. It's like they're all museums, pretty much.
Now?
Yeah.
Wow. It looks like a cannon. Doesn't that look like a cannon?
Oh, it does.
Like it looks like a battle station.
It does
too.
look like a
Oh
cannon.
my goodness.
So we're
We're number 8. Oh my gosh, I have no idea how to say it, but it's Sling. It's in Cambodia.
Oh, Cambodia.
Do you know how to say it? It's Tuol, Tuol, Sling, Sleng. It's in Cambodia.
Is that the name of the prison?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's.
Yeah.
I had to give you the hard one, didn't I?
Yeah, she did. Southeast Asia is also home to 2 infamous and dangerous prisons. Now tourist attraction. The first is Tuol Sling in Cambodia. The brutal Khmer Rouge opened this prison in 1975. It was only open for 4 years, but over 17,000 male inmates passed through its gate.
Wow.
It became a museum soon after its closure as a prison. So that is that prison. That looks very brutal. It looks horrible.
Oh yeah, that's really run down.
But it just looks very. Doesn't look good.
I hope I'm saying this correctly. So we're at number 9. It's HOA, Hoa Lo Prison, Vietnam. Hoa Lo Prison in Hanoi, Vietnam is nestled somewhat incongruously at the foot of an imposing high-rise in the city center. Once a French prison, it was called the Hanoi Hilton by the Americans imprisoned there during the Vietnam War. The most famous prisoner was U.S. presidential candidate John McCain, whose flying suit is displayed in the museum. The French originally built the prison for political prisoners, and many of Vietnam's leading independence fighters spent time there. So this is the prison, and most of you know John McCain was
John McCain.
if you recognize him, he was in prison in there.
All right,
And the last one.
The last world famous prison, number 10, is Port Arthur, Tasmania. So it looks like this. And finally, Port Arthur in Tasmania is another prison worth visiting. Once a penal colony, it is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It operated from 1833 until the 1850s and housed the most dangerous criminals. You can still visit the prison, the hospital, the church, and the insane asylum. Oh. The prison was located on a peninsula surrounded by rough seas. It was virtually impossible to escape with just a narrow strip of land known as Eagle Hawk Neck, connecting it to the mainland that vicious dogs paroled.
Ooh.
So if you escaped and you're running
Dogs
down the
gonna
road,
get
there's some vicious dogs that are going to get you too. Oh my God. Well, I would definitely say the prisons go to great length to keep the prisoners in, especially if you're in an island. You have guards, an island. All I know is those are the 10 most world famous prisons. I have visited one.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever be a prisoner in any of them. So
So
That's
this
very
is
interesting, though.
This is History Matters, and as I was doing my research on the prisons, it gives you a lot of details, and the reason why they're famous is because they have the most terrible prisoners in there, but not only that, they were treated terrible.
Yes.
So I didn't want to get into all of that because it's too graphic, but that is why they're the most famous prisons, and they're closed, and now they're a tourist attraction.
Tourist attraction, or a history attraction.
Of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see some more, please
Like and subscribe.
to our YouTube channel, and
Yes.
we will see you on our next History Matters. Bye-bye.
Bye.